See, she got on green too. She must be an Aries. See. What was I at? Taurus, put down that sandwich and stop worrying about how you look to everybody, cause you already look good. What about the Geminis? Cause it could be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Who knows how many personalities are inside of them? All right. Yo. Welcome to Elevated Vibes, where we're certified, bona fide, and indubitably qualified to drop knowledge, wisdom, and keep your spirit high. We're the trio with the grow that's raising minds as we go. One at a time. That's how we show. There was none before us. There'll be none after us. That makes us the one and only, here to uplift and light you up so you never give up. So sit back, relax, and feel the thrill. Elevated Vibes is here to drop you with your daily knowledge pill. What it is, and what it shall be. Welcome to Elevated Vibes. As you can tell, it is hype in the house tonight, because this is the age of Aquarius. All right? Tonight, you know it's going to be a wild ride, because the captain, the gatekeeper, has let me take over in the pilot seat. I know y'all used to that smooth cruising, but tonight, baby, we're going on some turbulent ride. It's going to be a bump, so you can get your jump on. All right? So tonight, we have in the house Brother Marcus Quinn. All right? Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Without a doubt.
I don't want to get into your story, and I'll let you tell it if you choose to, but I had the pleasure, the honor, and the duty of defending Mr. Quinn through some trials and tribulations. We went to war with the devil. And we came out victorious. You know, I told Mr. Quinn at the end of our trial, I was like, you know, nothing I did, foretold this. I always say, my saying is, God looks out for babies and fools, and I ain't a baby. I told you that,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So if you would be so kind, Mr. And so during that time of representing Mr. Quinn, and I'm not even sure, maybe he recalls how we got on it. We broke the personal barrier, between, attorney and client, and, discovered that as an aficionado of astrology, this brother is the scholar. All right. The knowledge pool of astrology, and, things that I did not know, based on reading my natal chart.
So we're gonna learn a lot today, huh, bro?
Yeah. Rich, since you've known me, I've been into astrology. But I call it surface level, tangential level. Like I understand the sun signs. But as I got and delved more into it, we started learning about the moon signs, and then the cardinals, and then you learn about deacons, and you learn about your astronatal chart, and you understand the interactions of certain things, and and I think it came up because I casually mentioned, like, I have two sons, and one of them is a Gemini, and Yeah, okay. And
hey, hold on now.
No.
Like the brother just sung, it's many of us you got to deal with.
Rich happens to be one of my longest standing friends. I only have one other friend I've known longer than Rich, and me and Rich have always vibed.
Yes, sir.
I always tell the story that I was impressed with Rich's salesman skills. We both came up at JCPenney under Sergeant Jackson.
Hard times.
And this brother was so smooth he could sell ice to Eskimos in winter. Because we used to make commissions, and we would sell boots, and we were primarily in the African American community, and they would literally send two size 10s, one size 11, a whole bunch of 4s, a whole bunch of 5s, and you're like, do they know who our population is? But this brother, no matter what, could sell those boots. The lady come in and say, yeah, I'm a size 8. Rich would be like, man, I don't know. Yeah, we only got size 5 in the back, but they run kind of big. And I got some stuff I could put on them to make them stretch, and you'd be like, no, she ain't going for it. No, I know she ain't going for this. And this brother, he'd be like, yo, but it needs time to work. Give me about an hour. Give me about an hour. And the boost was the highest thing you can sell. And I'm sitting there like, ain't no way this gonna work. This brother come back, he put that thing on the stretch, and she'd be like, oh, it's still only just a little tight. He's like, oh, just a little tight? All right, let me take it to the back. Let me do something to it. And from that moment, I was like,
you could prove nothing.
Yeah. I was like, yo, this is the brother I need to know. Like this brother is slicker than oil on a baby oil on a doorknob. So
at a Diddy party.
Right.
Hold on.
No Diddy. So
bro, I ain't taking that, no taking that.
So, and one of the ways that helps me learn, as I'm a Cancer, and so, it always helps me is, I may not remember your exact day, but I always remember when your season is up. So I know, Rich is a Gemini. Our other brother, Tim, who cannot make it tonight, is a Capricorn. I know Rich's wife is Aries and stuff like that. So anyway, this is the long way of telling you, I disclosed that my son was a Gemini and we were having some communication issues. And you asked me, well, what house is your Mercury in? And I said, what? And he was like, Mercury, what house is his Mercury in? And I was like, what? And I had recently done my astro chart and was looking at it, had read it, didn't understand all of it, and then you started talking to me and I was like, hold on, let me get my astro chart and start asking things like that. So let me ask you this, Mr. Quinn, just to start off. Can you explain what astrology is beyond this common idea of daily horoscopes and sun signs? Can you explain to us using your knowledge to what is astrology?
So to put it as lay as possible, we are born with a certain set of behavioral patterns and characteristics based off our placement at the time when we came out of the womb, and based off of the placement of the celestial bodies, the sun, the moon, the stars, the planets, things of that nature. So that's what astrology is in a nutshell. It's you have a set of characteristics, and really your life, to apply it to your life's journey, you're here to understand that, to understand yourself, to understand your past lives and your possible future life, so that you don't have to keep coming through this 3D plane of existence anymore. Okay. You can go back to source, return to source, if that makes sense to you.
All right.
So does that mean that based on where you are, there are certain lessons that are to be learned or certain paths? I've always kind of wondered, because of the way I've seen and studied of astrology, is this in Hindu, we talk about the idea of, lives.
Mm-hmm.
Are we moving through? So a person who's Aries is a newborn. Aries is the youngest sign,
Mm-hmm.
right? So they are new to this plane of existence. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why you see some of the impetuousness that's characteristically associated with Aries, the fieriness. And so then when you come back again, you've lost that impetuousness, because now you move into the house of Taurus, which is a little bit more steady, and things like that. And then, you move through the house of Gemini, which is the house of communications, and things like that. And then you go through the house of Cancer, and, on and on and on, and things like that. So I just want to know, what is your belief about that? Because in addition to astrology, we could talk about life path numbers.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about that and what that means, and your vibrations. And, this stuff is not stuff that is just new. This has been around since time immortal.
Right.
And, and we'll talk about this later, but people always say it's hokey. And I'm like, well, what makes it even more hokey than believing that someone rose from the dead?
Right.
And ascended to heaven.
Right.
And if you study that long enough, you study Egyptian culture, you start to see, Ra, all of these things, they're very, similar things.
Right.
So what is your belief about astrology and how we can apply it to our daily lives?
Well, as far as navigating through the matrix and having to deal with the agents, the NPCs, all the various personalities in there, on just the 3D surface level, understanding astrology, understanding a person's sign, and understanding the characteristics behind that can help you basically get along with people better. You know what I mean? Just from a surface level. In the long run, though, it helps you get along with yourself better. Understanding you got all these different signs and all these different planets. And all these different things are various aspects of your personality. I was in my chart today, and I realized I never really studied. You start off with the sun, and you get so deep into it, you never really get to the end. But I thought about my Pluto being in Leo, and Pluto is already a fixed sign ruled by Scorpio.
Now, explain what that means, because now me and you are talking, so I have a context, but a lot of our listeners don't.
Okay.
So explain that.
And then bless me, because see, I'm sitting there taking it all in.
Right.
Okay.
And that's why, I want to make sure that people understand.
So basically, your planets are ruled by different astrological signs, which implies a certain type of character associated with that planet that you will have. Okay. So just like they say, Aries is ruled by Mars, the god of war.
Correct.
Right. So Pluto is ruled by Scorpio, and Scorpio is like a fixed mystique type of sign.
Right. So there, and just I wanted people to understand, like, signs can fall under like cardinal, fixed, mutable, and what's the other one?
It's just those three.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's 4 in each one.
Okay.
Which makes 12.
Okay.
So the fixed signs are basically all the people that you would consider stubborn in the zodiac. They usually say Taurus,
yes,
Scorpio, Leo, Aquarius. All fixed signs, right? They all say those signs are stubborn, and they get their mind set on an idea and it stays there. You can't change it. So with Pluto representing transformation, okay, my Pluto is in Leo. Leo is a fixed sign.
Okay.
So my transformation might be a little stunted. So, like I was telling you guys earlier, I had contracts for music presented to me when I was a teenager.
Okay.
Here I am now at 47 just now putting my stuff out. The transformation is coming, but me being so fixed on an idea, making a long story short, took the process a little longer. Now, the transformation is supposed to be in a positive sense where you turn it to a phoenix. It's like the phoenix aspect. So with me being in Leo, Pluto, the transformation was slow because it's a fixed sign. But when it finally happens, I'm going to roar like a lion.
Well, let me ask you this, because, as you spoke about the Phoenix and all that, what sparked you to dig into understanding of astrology and so forth? You know what I'm saying? Because it got you and I can see it with you, it got you at a peaceful plane. And so something had to spark you to say, okay, this is what I need to learn. This is the route I need to go. What sparked you to do that?
Man, a whole lot of stuff. So the first thing is my father was a very interesting and intriguing man.
Okay.
I've seen my father, God bless his dad, he's gone now, but when he was alive, I would see him. He was a very social person. He would be somewhere and start idle conversation with a person. I mean, seconds. If it would get to a minute, you know what I'm saying? At a certain point, he would tell them their sign. And I've seen him do this many times. Accurately. I took him to the University of Chicago hospital, so he was getting his prostate checked, and we were in the waiting area. And you know how like you have the people sitting up behind the desk, whatever their position is.
Right.
There was a Caucasian man standing up there having a conversation with the nurse there. My father, being a social butterfly, he walked up and got in the conversation with them. After a minute, I'm telling you, after a minute or two talking,
yes, sir,
he looks at the white guy and he says, "You have Pisces legs." The guy looks back at my father and says, "I'm a Pisces."
Okay.
So there's even physical characteristics that go along with it. You see what I mean? Yeah. So, you have the surface aspect of the signs, like, oh, I'm a Libra, I'm supposed to get along with Leos and things of that nature. But that, just me experiencing that with my father, made me want to get deeper into the deeper aspects of the characteristics of a person, especially when I started getting more conscious and understanding like all this ties into your life's karma. And like I said, basically reincarnation and keeping going through this plane of existence and all, like it was all inclusive with all that, so.
Yeah, I think I got into it very early, like 5th or 6th grade. My mother gave me a book on astrology. And I think all of it, religion, astrology, polytheism, is man's attempt to make sense of the world and his world, and to seek a better understanding of himself. Right. I told you I didn't enjoy being a male Cancer because some of the emotional vulnerability that comes with it. And you were talking about there's power and things like that, and we were talking about your relationship with your sibling and things.
And I'm glad that you said that, because it is different from the male and female perspective. Like when we were talking about the Geminis, I've always been cool with male Geminis. I've always argued with female Geminis. It never fails. It never fails. I mean, 10 times out of 10. So all that makes a difference. You being a male Cancer is very much so needed in this world right now. You know what I'm saying? So no slight to that.
Well, the big thing I've been reading about is that the cardinal signs are getting ready to go through a major transformation. That is this end of this 15-year journey that we've been going through of challenges, and the look now will be inward, whereas before we were very much externally motivated and sacrificing for the purposes of others. Some would say, especially as it relates to cancer, they're going to be entering their bad guy season, and it was like, don't mess with cancers, and we get this reputation, and we'll get back to it generally, of being psychotic, or being crazy, because we're emotional. And I was like, well, what did you do to him? Like, exactly. Don't start none, won't be none. Cancer is the mother of the zodiac,
Mike Tyson is really a nice guy.
Yes.
He's had a very rough life, like a very hard start, which molded him to being the way that he is. But deep down inside, he's a real nice guy.
I heard 50 Cent is the same way. And I was like, wait, 50 Cent is a cancer?
Yeah.
Ain't no way 50 Cent is a cancer. Like, like G, So
remember in the movie, he ain't want to sell dope no more.
Yeah. Tom Cruise, Tom Hanks. Of course, I think Tom Hanks, that makes a sense. How does one use astrology to better understand themselves? Like, we were talking about the natal chart. So for people who don't know, the natal chart is your birth chart. If you know where you were born and as close as possible, the approximate time you were born, you can go get a natal. You can get a natal chart done. Just Google natal chart. I'm not repping anybody, but there's plenty of them out there.
Are they expensive to get done?
No, they're free. They're free. And I got one. I just didn't know how to interpret it. I didn't know how to interpret it. And I always say it's always in the stars until, who knew? And there was some certain circumstances that brought me and Mr. Quinn together, because he had spoken to several other attorneys prior to me. And then when I finally, spoke, he was like, yo, this is weird. Like, you're the only one, And, I started asking him questions. He was like, yeah, like he was surprised at the questions I was asking him. Well, sometimes, like in volleyball, you got to set the ball up. Who knew that initial intake call would lead to this?
Right.
And so, we know that planets have, magnetic fields. The sun has a magnetic field. Everything gives off a vibration energy. So is it that ludicrous to think that how stars are aligned on a given day on your date of birth may not have an impact on you? If a solar flare and the sun is 8 minutes away by light, or 8 minute light years away, or 8 minute years away, whatever, how you want to say it, can affect the satellites on Earth and cause blackout. How arrogant is it to think that the magnetic poles and all of this stuff, and when things are lined up, may not have an effect on human behavior? And what do we always say? We are creatures of the stars. When we leave this life, you shall return from that whence you came. And it's incorporated into our literature. One of my favorite shows is Battlestar Galactica. And for those who don't know, how were they divided? They were divided by, the main planet that we always focus on is Caprica, which is a derivation of Capricorn. The planet Capricorn was one of the most industrial planets within their galaxy solar system, which aligns with what we know Capricorn's for. So how do you use it for a better understanding of yourself? And let's talk about natal charts, and let's talk about your moon sign. And what was the thing you were telling me? The one thing that you asked me, because I never understood, not to this day, was where was my north node and my south node. When you get your astrological chart, we'll do yours, Rich. You'll see something that says your north node and your south node. I had no idea what this was. They were talking about something about Lilith. I didn't know whether that was, he's breaking it down.
Well, right now, just listening to you with the nodes and so forth, and I was trying to read up to get some understanding with everything. I'm like, no, what is a node?
Man, so to answer your question, it's basically, like you said, you get your natal chart and you look at everything as far as each sign, what planet is in that sign. That whole aspect is an aspect of your personality. You have all these different aspects: the sun, the moon. The sun is your overall you.
Okay.
Right. So
All right.
That's what everybody knows.
right. The sun is the overall you. So when you have all these different planets, how can I say this? Okay, let's say your moon is in Libra, right? You're still going to go about it as a Gemini, but like it's like a Gemini Libra. It's meshed together, so to speak.
Okay.
So
they call the moon signs your shadow side. Like that's the side that you keep hidden, right?
No, your moon sign is really like your emotions.
Okay.
Yeah, your moon sign is like your feelings. Like it's not like Venus. Like Venus is straight love. You know what I'm saying? Your moon is all your emotions: anger, happiness, sadness, all that type of stuff. Then you have your ascendant sign. Your ascendant sign is your rising sign.
Now, what does that mean?
So basically, your rising sign is how you look on the outside in.
Okay.
So people who don't know you, like your sun is Gemini, but your rising might be a Cancer. So on the outside looking in, you might come off to a Cancer, to these people as a Cancer.
Okay.
Until they get to know you better and they be like, oh, you're really a Gemini, but I thought you was a Cancer at first.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever had something like that?
I had something. Well, mainly they were like, I could tell you a Gemini,
Okay.
But
got that gap.
Give the gab.
I told you.
But I'm the type of person that with certain things you're gonna have to pull it out of me anyway. I'm protective of what I do, unless it's like if I'm talking to Mike know almost everything. You know what I'm saying? But if I'm just
that's just that one twin though.
Right. Well,
let's get the wife in here. Let's ask the wife about the other twin.
That twin is secretive. Now your other twin might be telling everything and not even knowing it.
Right. And trust me, my wife will tell you. But anyway, so after a while, people start to understand. Okay, yeah, he a Gemini. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And the mesh together, I knew nothing about. So just learning from you right now, I'm like, man, what would be my other side then?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. So you got all those that play a part. You got Mercury. Mercury represents basically how you communicate. If your Mercury is in Libra, then when you speak in a manner that you want everything to be fair for everybody. You want things to be, everybody to get their fair piece. Whereas if your Mercury might be in Capricorn, you might say, well, you want that, but it's not practical for everybody to have the same amount of food because this child ain't gonna eat as much as this adult. You see what I'm saying? Right, so we need to measure it out, and you would communicate that way. Yeah. Then you, like I said, the Venus is all about the love, matters of the heart, all that type of stuff. And then
each sign is associated with the planet. Like Leo is associated with the sun. Aries.
Well, in reverse, each planet is associated with a sign.
Correct. Thank you. Each planet is associated with a sign. I know the sun is Leo. Scorpio. I mean, Pluto is Scorpio. I don't remember who's Mercury.
It's a lot of different ones. Yeah. I know. I think Venus might be Pisces. See, when you start getting to that level and you talk about the houses, then that's like a whole different conversation. I like to more so focus on the personality characteristics of the different signs to help me understand myself better and to understand other people better.
Yeah. Because I told you I was a double Cancer. I have a Cancer sun and Cancer moon. So
really,
yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So do you know how many degrees?
No, I don't. No.
But that alone, like that's really full blown cancer. What's your rising?
I don't remember my rise. I know we discussed it. I got to pull up my natal chart. We'll do that after the show.
But when you speak of degrees, what do you mean?
So in each sign, it's up to 30 degrees that you could be in that sign. Look at the degrees as like a percentage that you are that sign.
Okay.
And so
that's good. Yes.
A percentage. So basically it starts from whenever the sign starts. So like they usually start like in the early 20s. So from that point up until like the first week of the going into month of that sign, that's like 1 through 10 degrees. Then that second week would be 10 through 20. And then that last week going up into the 20s, going into the next sign, 20 through 30. So like my birthday is October 19th. Libra ends on the 22nd. I am 27 degrees in Libra.
So that's a high percentage of Libra.
Yeah. So it matters too on when your birthday lands, on if you're in the beginning or in the end. Because like mine is May 21st. All right. And
get out of here, bro.
Yeah, what's up? Talk to me.
Man, that's the same day as my father, man. You ain't no Gemini. You more Taurus than anything.
Really? Really?
Oh my! Let me tell you.
Because you know what? I've seen things where it say Taurus and other things that say Gemini, but I'm like, well, I've always told him
he's on the cusp. Yeah.
Check this out. So my father, May 21st.
Yes, sir.
He identified as Taurus. He didn't identify as Gemini. But he had a Leo, right? He had a lot of Leo in his chart, and he had a Leo rising. So we always wonder like where his gifted gab came from, even though he got that small percentage of Gemini, but that Leo, think about Barack.
Right. Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why it's important to get your whole chart to understand like all these different aspects of your personality to see, like, you know what I'm saying? Because that might not even be, even though Gemini's got the gift of gab, and that small percentage could make the difference, but you will want to know more so what your Mercury is in, because that's where all your communication comes from.
It's in the house of slick. I'm telling you, this brother sold size 4 shoes to women wearing size 8 and 9.
You can't prove it, brother.
Yeah. For all of those who got JCPenney, Dalton, and bought size 4 shoes.
Quiet, brother. Quiet. Look, just knowing that and knowing my father, like I got some explanations for that I will leave off air.
Thank you, sir.
But you know, I know what was going on. I used to sell shoes.
and nothing would rock him. Nothing would rock him. So we are seeing now a rise, what I think, of astrology, horoscopes, life path numbers on the rise. Probably more so than we ever have. I even read something somewhere that they said that astrology may become the new religion. You know, it's because we're not in church as much as we used to be. No. You know, church attendance is down.
Right.
Donations to churches are down. We're all same generation here. You know, it's fair to say we have not maintained our church attendance like those of our parents.
Right.
And so I think we are all, especially our generation, seeking understanding, something that religion necessarily did not fulfill for us. You know, I think we're the generation that began to question, you know, religion. Not in terms of, you know, I think most of us are all still believers. We still have faith. But there's a part of it that did not explain who I was. And it's and I may get some feedback for this, but it's very external. It doesn't look internal. So I want to know, why do you think we're seeing the rise of this, especially on social media like Facebook? My feed is full of face stuff. Part of it's just my algorithm, and I'm always studying. But why do you think we're seeing a rise of the presence of astrology, and what does that mean for us as a society?
You said something very significant. You said astrology being a religion. And like, when you really put it into perspective, when you talk about where we are, this realm, this plane of existence, and why we're here, and how do we get out of here? Learning ourselves and mastering ourselves, mastering our lower selves is the only way to get out. And the breadcrumb trail to mastering your lower self and understanding yourself is through astrology.
And what do you mean by your lower self? What do you mean by that?
So your lower nature is when you talk about things like the lost keys of Freemasonry, thought, desire, and action, mastering yourself, mastering your lower nature, mastering your emotional side, vibrating on a higher frequency, a more spiritual, more mental frequency, tapping more so into your Neptune, which is your spiritual aspect, the aspect that makes you daydream or night dream, mastering those aspects of your personality to basically let the Kundalini energy travel up your spine so that you can become messianic like. You see what I'm saying? So you can figuratively walk on water and perform miracles, and all that will propel you to escaping this realm, this 3D realm that we live in, and returning back to source.
Wow.
I don't know if that all came together, but
it's what we would colloquially refer to as listening to your higher angels. I always tell people, demons shout, but our angels speak in whispers.
Yes.
And it is only in the quiet solitude that we can hear our angels. God has to put you in silence. God, Yahweh, Allah, the universe has to put you in a position where you can hear it. Even if we bring in aspects of psychology, the ego, the ego, can serve sometimes as barriers to hearing those things. But when you're in that quiet solitude, that's what you're speaking of. You're speaking of aspects of what we call our higher angels. Let me ask you this, from a personal standpoint: how have you used your understanding of astrology to move towards your higher angels? When we met, you were, kind of in a rough spot. I mean, like I said, I don't want to tell your story, but you were in a rough spot, and just when the verdict came out, literally, it was like the rock left. I forget who from Greek astrology, the guy who's pushing the rock up the hill.
Yeah.
Just the weight of what you were dealing with was thrown off as a yoke. So how have you used and implemented astrology to try to get to your better self?
That's an interesting question, man. I mean, I just feel like it all goes back to learning who you are. I mean, our souls are ancient. We've come in and out many times to the point that we're lost. We forgot who we are, man. We keep going into the light instead of going the other way. That's a whole nother conversation because we're not supposed to go into the light. But since we keep doing this, since we keep coming back because it feels good, it smells good, it tastes good, it smells like barbecue chicken. You know what I mean? We done got lost. So that small voice is saying, hey, this way. The astrology would be the hearing aid in that analogy.
Okay.
Learning about yourself and learning about other people to be able to deal with them to keep you from not being in situations where you're vibrating low. Because constantly vibrating low will keep you basically reincarnating in this system.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
A couple of things that you've pointed out. Going back to one of my favorite series, Battlestar Galactica, they're forced to leave their home to find the lost tribe, the 13th tribe. You know, so we see these courts everywhere. You know, like these are stories. Like stories have a point. You know, folklore, fiction. You know, and so it's very interesting how you talk about that, because the first thing you said is, you know, we're lost. And that's what the story of Battlestar Galactica is a story of the people who are lost. Yeah, it's the 12. I mean, we talk about the tribes of Israel. They were lost in the wilderness. If you look at stories that have gone down, and I'm not as familiar with Islam, but there are stories of people who are lost. But it is in the lostness that the people always find their redemption. Man is not characterized and evolves by ease. Man is evolved by opposition. There's opportunity in opposition, right? Yes. And so when you think about the tribes of Israel, right? He did not let them go straight into the land of milk and honey, right? You know, matter of fact, our God is so cold that the man who led them, he said, you ain't gonna be it. You ain't gonna see it, but you shall lead them there, and you shall have people who remember you. You know, right? But look who they had, what they had to do, and how hard they became when they were lost in the wilderness. You know, so you know, and I love when people say things, you know, because sometimes, you know, people who just got common sense got more sense than people with book smarts, but they always say, you know, if the mountain was smooth, you couldn't climb it.
Right.
Say what? You know, if the mountain was smooth, you couldn't climb it. So struggle has always been what has moved man. You know, if you think of our most worst nature, war, civil war, well, we started having rules to war. There, even if in our most inhumane, state, we are saying that there are rules that govern by which we will inflict. And just think about how ironic that is. Like, I can kill you, but I can't do it with mustard gas.
Right.
I can kill you, but I can't torture you.
Right.
You know, but now we go back 100 years, that was perfectly fine.
Right.
That was great. Like, it wasn't no rules, you know?
Right.
And so even in our struggles, and this gets more back to what I said, like, are we moving through, like, I'm the, you know, fourth sign, you know, so I got, you know, 8 more to go. You know, we think, and it's interesting. And I say that because the last sign is Pisces. What is Pisces associated with? Death and rebirth, you know? And so Pisces made it be the most evolved out of all of us.
And to your point, Pisces is the 12th house.
Right.
And so a lot of my experiences that led me deep into astrology have been with Cancer signs. So just you gotta understand that about yourself. Just know we talked about, you brought up this 15-year thing, like it's coming. Just know that. But this one lady, she came in and held a stone over my head and it started turning on its own. And with that, she said she would like to do my astrological chart. And I said, fine. I had never had it done before. And so she left out of my office. We talked for a little bit. She left out of my office. About a week later, she came back and she had wrote it out. And like, making a long story short, she had started telling me specific things about myself, like that, like things like I didn't want to have children because I didn't want my children to be around my family and pick up my bad habits. Like that's only something that I thought in my head. I never told anybody this. And she had told me this. And so getting back to the Pisces in the 12th house, she told me that I have a lot of planets in the 12th house, which means that this is my last revolution coming through this plane. After I go this time, I won't be reincarnated anymore.
Okay, let me ask you this. Only because, the story that you just said, brought something I was reading about. All right. Could you tell me what is the thing with crystals and chakras, something that you all deal with, and what is it's like a tool from what I read, and how is it tool, how is it used? You know what I'm saying? Because people always talk about it, but you hear talk. You know what I'm saying?
Well, the crystals, so you got a physical thing and then you got an educational thing. So the crystals is a physical and the chakras is more of a educational thing to understand these various levels that you have inside of you. You know, your lower self chakra, your heart chakra, your head chakra, mouth chakra, and all these things play a part in the energy around you, frequencies, and how they can be manipulated, because the dark entities that operate in the fourth dimension that people like to have referred to them for a long time as demons and devils, but that's a whole nother subject.
Okay.
But what they do is they attach themselves, making a long story short, they attach themselves to your lower chakras and use you like a joystick playing the video game. You see what I'm saying? So,
yeah, I do.
So like they'll attach themselves to one person's lower chakra to have them start something with you for no reason, because they want you to vibrate low. And then they'll try to attach themselves to you depending on how you respond to that fool. Yeah. Are you gonna get low with him?
Right.
Or are you gonna take the higher path and ignore his nonsense?
Right. Okay.
You see what I'm saying? Okay. So then the crystals is basically it said that certain crystals invite certain energies and disinvite other ones.
All right.
And so people use them and have them around their house and things of that nature.
Okay.
Let me ask you this, Mr. Quinn, because we're coming to the top of the hour, and this has been this is something I've been wanting to talk about. Rich knows I've been wanting to talk about and have someone on the show, and literally we have been looking for someone to come on this show and talk about this, and this will not be the last conversation, because like I said, we're called Elevated Vibes, and the idea is that we want people to operate at a higher frequency. That's where the work is. It takes nothing to stay in the gutter, but it takes everything. And so we try to be spiritually uplifting, knowledgeable, uplifting, and things like that. Where does one begin the journey? Where did you begin your journey? And if someone is saying, look, this brother's convinced me, I'm interested, I want to learn more, I want to delve into this, how and where does one begin that journey?
You mean the higher path journey?
Or the knowledge? How do I begin on the knowledge and the path? Like I said, I had my astral chart. It's one thing to have the book. Mm-hmm. It's another thing to understand it. So how do you get started?
Man, bro, I don't, bro, my life has specifically been so strange, bro. Like I've had so many various occurrences. I almost want to say like maybe I was born for this thing. You know what I mean? Specifically.
Well, if this is your last round, then it is your job to educate and to teach.
Right.
Because knowledge is neither created nor destroyed. It's
Right.
always there.
Right.
So maybe you may be right. This is your chance to educate and to say, this is my time. And so you are the philosopher and professor now.
Mhm.
So how would you, if you're talking to the Aries who's newborn, where would you tell them to start?
I would tell them to start like this. First of all, start disbelieving in coincidences.
We're proof of that.
Start disbelieving. I like, don't think, oh, that just happened. And no, bro, things happen for a reason. And with that, follow that notion. Whatever it is, whether it's you met somebody that's this, you keep going through these phases where you're in this season and you have all these instances with a cancer. Then that passes. Then you in this season and you have all these instances with people, whether it's males or females, that's Pisces. That's not a coincidence. So with that, you take those things and you study them. And you know, if you want to learn about, man, why are some religions, you know, come off non-cipher? You know what I mean? Well, the thing with me was when I was a minister in training, studying Hebrew, I realized that Jesus was a was an English derivative from a Hebrew word. So that led me to think like, okay, well, what is all this change for? You see what I'm saying? And that I just follow the breadcrumbs. And when you follow the breadcrumbs and you don't believe in coincidences, you accept knowledge of where it is right there in your face, and you don't try to take away from it, add nothing to it. Like that automatically kind of puts jumper cables on your spirit, which propels you to other things. And some things, let me say this too. Your road and your race is not mine.
Comparison is the thief of joy.
You know, your timeline is not mine. You see what I'm saying? So where I'm at, another person can't expect to be there. And then you can't expect to stay there either. You might surpass me. You know what I'm saying? Once you get on the journey. So it just letting everything naturally fall in place and happen organically.
Okay. Well, this has been a fascinating, long time coming conversation. Rich, you got any final words?
Is this the end?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because I want the producer to play our song, and I want you to do what you was doing at the beginning. So you left off at Gemini, and I didn't hear what you was gonna say about the most important one, which is Cancer. So I'm gonna let Rich get like 12 seconds in, because I know producer gonna be counting us up out of here. So I want to hear what you saying about the most powerful sign, which is Cancer. So what you got, sir?
Well, my only thing that I could say right now is that everybody, you know, take this and many other things that we say, and it is guidance for you to grow and for you to shine. So take the thing with astrology and a lot more things and shine, plain and simple. Shine.
Yo, there's opportunity and opposition. All right, don't give up. Let's go. Come on, we gotta hear you.
Let me moisten my palate.
Check this out.
Check it out.
Wow. You're talking about the zodiac sign. You got to know who you are. You got to know where you're going. You got to know where you've been. Yeah. Where the Capricorn's at, standing at the top of the mountain. Yeah, Aquarius
I know you social butterflies think you know everything. And the Pisces, would you please get out your feelings, little tender-hearted person? Yeah. And the Aries, they want to go to war with you. They will go to war with you. Plain and simple. They will go to war with you, fight with you. You can't get with them. And then you got the Taurus. Ebenezer screws. They will squeeze blood out of nickel. They will squeeze the mayonnaise out of sandwich. And then you got the Gemini. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. But how many is inside them? And then the Cancer. All they want to do is nurture somebody while being or thinking they are the jack of all trades. Leo, why do you stand there thinking that you're better than somebody with your nose in the air, all regal? And then you got the Virgo.